Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So Joe Biden is unhinged. Joe Biden is one of the main topics for tonight's broadcast because he's in all sorts of dealings. He's granting clemency for Michael Cohen. There's so much we're going to cover here, but we won't be here too long. Since 2021, the Biden administration has allocated over $1 billion to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within the Department of Education. First and foremost, a lot of time when people state affirmative action and DEI, that doesn't mean Black people. Because if you look into the statistics of people who benefited the most from affirmative action, as well as these DEI programs, there have been both illegal and legal immigrants. You can definitely fact check that. This funding encompasses grants and programs aimed at promoting educational equity across the nation. Critics argue that such investments divert resources from core academic subjects, potentially impacting educational standards. Supporters, however, contend that these initiatives are essential for fostering inclusive learning environments and addressing systematic disparities. Money and programs like this are going to be wiped away by DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. So we really don't have to worry about this. The U.S. Postal Service $10 billion program to modernize its delivery fleet with electric vehicles is encountering substantial delays. Defense contractors Oshkosh, responsible for manufacturing the new vehicles, has not disclosed significant production challenges for over a year. These setbacks threaten the timely rollout of the next generation delivery vehicles, potentially impacting the USPS operational efficiency and environmental goals. So who funds the United States Postal Service? United States government. We understand that your mail is federally protected. If someone tampers with your mail, steal your mail, that is a federal offense. So who has done large million and billion dollar contracts with the government before they became on President-elect Donald Trump's team? No other than Elon Musk, who is the founder and CEO of Tesla, who makes electric vehicles. These are electric. You guys understand what I'm alluding to when I'm leaning in on that, because he can easily take over this contract. He can easily, with his team of electric vehicle designers, to make even probably a cheaper version of electric vehicles. Because the reason why Amazon has those electric vehicles that's delivering all the package during this holiday season, they got that technology from Rivian, because Amazon wasn't dealing with electric vehicles, not on a large scale. So they invested, I believe, $100 million or $100 billion into Rivian. I know the extra million or billion does make a difference, but I just can't recall the exact number. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been injured and hospitalized while traveling in Luxembourg. Details regarding the nature of her injuries and current conditions remain limited. Pelosi, a prominent figure in U.S. politics, will reportedly on a diplomatic visit when the incident occurred. The situation is developing and updates are anticipated as more information becomes available. I know you guys are definitely praying for Nancy Pelosi to, have a speedy recovery. And I know, they've been having all these sightings over New Jersey when it comes to these drones, and residents of New Jersey have reported sightings of all these unidentified aircrafts, drones flying around the state, and the nature and origin of these aircraft remain unclear, with theories ranging from domestic drones to potential foreign surveillance operations. Notably, satellite imagery indicates that Iran's drone carriers are not in the proximity. Listen to this. Iran's drone carriers are not in proximity to U.S. shores, suggesting that the mysterious aircraft are unlikely to be of Iranian origin. They say they're all the way out in the ocean somewhere. They're not even close to having the deportability of those drones making it to New Jersey. It also states U.S. Suggesting that the mysterious aircraft are unlikely to be of Iranian origin. Authorities are investigating the sightings to determine any potential threat to national security. Question, are there any people from Iran in America? Are there any people from Iran in America, or Iran? Are there any people from Iran in America? Yes. Are there any people who are friends of Iranians in America? Yes. So could they be launched from the cruise ship and land somewhere in an open field that they get refueled or they get charged, okay, if they're electric? Is that possible? Because again, here's another question you should ask yourself. We have all this technology in America. Now, some people have other advancements of technology and certain items, but we have the strongest military in the world because of the advancement of technology and equipment. So why don't we just catch one? Like, we have these drones who look like carbon copies of one another, and they're flying all around New Jersey. But most importantly, they're flying around a New Jersey weapon naval station, and it keeps entering that airspace. So why aren't we trying to capture one of these drones and see it's about it? If it's a personal person who's flying this drone, you return the drone and say, hey, next time you fly your drone into naval airspace, it will be destroyed. Or how about this? Shoot it down or shoot an EMP so it falls out of the sky. You can investigate it. You can look at the chipset. You can look at the motherboard. You can look at the sockets to see if there's any evidence or clues of where this drone originated from. We keep talking about it. Like, there's so many stories about the drone. There's so many stories about this drone. So Donald Trump stated there are several factors that is adding into the persistent high grocery prices. Because don't forget, Donald Trump, one of his promises to the American people was that he was going to lower grocery prices. Okay, so I want you guys to listen in on this before I give my commentary on this.
Also seized on Wray's testimony to Congress, saying there was some question whether a bullet grazed Trump's ear during an assassination attempt last July.
He said, oh, maybe it was shrapnel. Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it?
All right, that is a total different clip. You know, a lot of times on these news agencies, they just keep running clips. So I'll just kind of give you guys the breakdown, because Trump's administration aims to address, you know, the issues, but experts warn that reversing price hikes is a complex process, and that may take time, requiring coordinated efforts across various sectors of the economy. Because some people actually think that Trump can go inside of office and he can just wave his magic wand and grocery prices will go down and oil prices will go down. Now, granted, I know that only refers to a certain subset of naive people, where people who are economically minded, you understand that it takes time, that when legislation is signed, it takes months, if not years, for that to be effective within the economy. Now, there's some things that can happen very quickly, and we're good on Joe Biden granting clemency for all other people. But nonetheless, it takes time for some things to generate throughout the economy. Trump's acknowledgement of the difficulty in reducing grocery prices raises questions about the broader effectiveness of this economic policy. Voters who supported him based on promises of immediate financial relief may feel disillusioned if tangible results are not achieved promptly. This development could impact public perception and trust in the administration's ability to manage economic challenges. The U.S. dollar has reached a 2.5-week high, poised for its best week in a month, driven by expectation of a Federal Reserve interest rate cut next week, followed by a cautious approach to further reductions. This outlook has been bolstered the dollar against the euro and Swiss franc, especially after rate cuts by their respective central banks. And don't forget, Donald Trump wants to ensure and stabilize the dollar so it continues to be the world currency. And that's why Americans, we travel more than any other group next to the Europeans. As Americans, we travel more than anybody else, in second are the Europeans. Why? Because how strong the dollar is. All the many countries that the dollar is accepted. You go to some country, the American dollar is 5 of their dollars, is 20 of their dollars, is 30 of their dollars, is 10,000 of their dollars. So automatically, if you have 100,000 in the bank, or you have 100,000 in assets, or 100,000 in your 401k, you go to some of these other countries. You go to the African countries, you go to Eastern Asian countries, you go to a lot of the Latino, Hispanic countries. Soon as you land in country, you're a millionaire. That's why a lot of Americans, believe it or not, are retiring in Mexico, because they may have $250,000, $500,000 with all their assets after they sell their home, they cash in their 401k, or they get, monthly payments for their 401k. They go to these other countries and they 10 times the dollar. So things by stabilizing the dollar when Donald Trump comes into office and keeping the dollar strong is going to help Americans everywhere, really. And this morning, said isn't true, Joe. Joe is unhinged, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden, the 46th president of these United States of America, has lost his entire mind, in my opinion. And I don't mean he is going crazy. No, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's going to piss off everybody. He said, you want to overthrow me? You want to bring in Kamala Mammy Harris to take my spot to run for president? Yeah, I'm losing my speech. Yeah, I forget where I'm at sometimes, but I will still be a better president than her. And again, that's the whole talk that Joe Biden is talking. We know that he was done for a long time ago. So I'm not on Joe's side with that, but I'm speaking from Joe Biden's perspective of how he feels. Oh, y'all going to try to knock out the reigning champ? That's how Joe Biden is. He says, so I'm going to do any and everything I want with all my presidential powers. That's what Joe Biden said. I'm going to do any and everything I want with my presidential powers. Ain't no one going to stop me. No one's going to stop me. I'm the president until January 20th. So good luck. And I don't think Joe is done. I don't think Joe is done. And again, it won't surprise me if Joe Biden signs a pardon for himself, because President Joe Biden has commuted the sentence of Michael Cohen, a former Pennsylvania judge involved in the Kids for Cash scandal, where he received $2.1 million in kickbacks for funneling juveniles into for-profit detention centers. So think about what Joe Biden has done. He's literally granted clemency for someone who was funneling money to put kids in for-profit jails. And he profited $2.1 million. And Joe Biden said, you know what? You did enough time. You good. That's what he did. And this was dealing with children. And anybody who knows me, when we start speaking about children, I start getting real clammy and I start sweating because I hate when people mess with kids. Mess with adults. They can protect themselves. They can defend themselves. Some can't, but you should, carry a firearm, and then you can handle a lot of things. You don't have to be strong, just enough to pull, maybe 1 or 2 pounds. But nonetheless, you're going to free someone who's messing with the kids. And this scheme led to the wrongful incarceration of listen to this. This scam, rather, led to the wrongful incarceration of over 2,500 children between 2003 and 2008. So in 5 years, they locked up 2,500 children that wasn't even supposed to be incarcerated. Michael Cohen, but he let them go. Joe Biden. Yeah, Democrats. This is who you wanted black people to vote for. This is the person you wanted black people to vote for. And he was going to do this regardless if he won or not. He was going to do this regardless if he was going to step down or not. And this is what they want us to vote for. No, he told us a long time ago, I don't want my children to ride on buses with monkeys. That's what I remember. I don't have a short-term memory. Cohen, serving a 17.5-year sentence since 2011, was released to home confinement in 2020 due to COVID-19. Of course, he had something to do with that. This has drawn significant backlash, mostly from affected families. Sandy Funzo, whose son died by suicide to the scam, condemned the decision as an injustice. Biden stated that the clemency is part of a broader effort to give people second chances and promote equal justice under the law. Then free Diddy then. Free Diddy. Grant Sean Puffy Combs clemency and see Don't America come and get you. And I don't mean in a violent way. I'm not taking it that way. See, he tried to get somebody he believed the American public was going to forget. No, that's why he was in jail, because he put 2,500 innocent children in jail for $2.1 million. He's basically stating that 2,500 children, American children, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and otherwise, are only worth $2.1 million. Ask their parents. And ask Sandy, whose son committed suicide because he was wrongfully incarcerated. That's what you've done. Rita Cronwell, the former comptroller of Dixon, Illinois, who embezzled $54 million from the city over 2 decades, has also received clemency from President Joe Biden. She embezzled $54 million. Her theft, one of the largest municipal frauds in U.S. history, severely impacted the city's finances. She tumbled the city. Have you ever noticed when you go to certain places, city, and you see that people are working, people are driving buses, they're working in shops. So essentially you assume that people are paying taxes. Like, why are these streets with all these potholes? Why is the median broke? Why are there dents? Why these lights are out? Because you have people like Rita Cronwell that embezzled $54 million of her city funds. Cronwell was sentenced to nearly 20 years in federal prison in 2013. The decision to commute her sentence has been met with criticism from Dixon residents and officials who feel the justice has not been fully served. They argue that her early release undermines the severity of crimes and the trust violation. Do people ever think about where the money went? And granted, she was in prison in 2013. She only did 10 years. She only did half her sentence. Oh, Joe Biden, like, yeah, she feels bad. She's hurt by what she did. Where's the $54 million at, Joe? What? I'm just asking for a friend. Or I'm asking for 300 million Americans who are really interested. All these clemencies you're granting for all these people who've done these heinous acts. Don't worry, some Democratic news media won't say it, but I'll say it on everybody. The clemency granted to Conan and Cromwell has elicited reactions from victims, their families, and advocacy groups. Many express feelings of betrayal and question the administration's commitment to justice. Advocates for criminal justice reforms are divided. Some view the clemencies as steps towards rehabilitation. I don't know who those people are, and second chances, while others believe they discard the gravity of the offenses and the suffering of victims. The administration maintains that these actions are part of a broader effort to address sentencing disparities and promote fairness. What I don't understand is why is Michael Cohen is not being charged with manslaughter or second-degree murder by that young man hanging himself because of being wrongfully convicted after he was embezzling millions of dollars to direct innocent kids to for-profit detention camps. This is the guy that they wanted you guys to vote for again. And now that you see all this dirt has been coming out, I'm not saying Donald Trump is better. Because until they get into office and sign legislation and make a lot of moves, we can be singing "Make America Great Again" all you want. But until he makes America great again, it could be the same talk from a different voice box. It could be the same talk from a different voice box, because when majority of black people, not myself, went out here and voted for Joe Biden, they thought that he was going to do great and wonderful things, not just for the black community, but for America in general. And he did the exact opposite. But people like to blame it on the previous president, Donald Trump, and say, oh, we're inflation because of Donald Trump. You sure we not inflation for all the foreign money that we've been affording Israel as well as Ukraine to fight their battles? They have a blank check because anytime they need money, here's another $200 billion. And people can get into the emotional rhetoric of back and forth that we should fund Israel or not. And, you know, they have all these issues with, what's the group? Hamas. And people are being xenophobic and anti-Jewish. No. I wouldn't think that at all. If someone say, hey, we need to stop funding these foreign wars because it's hurting the American economy, it's raising inflation, We have mass flux of mass illegal immigrants inside the country, and America's just a wreck right now. So we need to cut off that support, and we need to mass deport and start building from within. Bring in business back to America if possible. But I don't think we have all these mixed emotions and feelings of we should be helping the world. I get it. If it doesn't affect you, then it doesn't bother you. See, a lot of times we have to have perspective, future state perspectives, where we look out and we say, I can see how that can come into fruition and hit home very quickly. I don't think people are thinking about the gravity of it, that it can eventually come home to us. And we're affected. Because as all these community about these open border policies or these legislations that allow illegal immigrants to be caught and released, and then, 2 weeks, come back and have an appointment, where none of them was really coming back. And so we have over 11 million, the ones that we, I guess, have information on, or we track, we saw it on camera, and we counted, I don't know. But they're stating over 11 million immigrants in America. But a lot of us have this heart-wrenching, but they have women and children. And if you and your son, if you and your daughter went inside of a bank and robbed it, do you think the police would care? Or you'll be going to jail? Right. And here's another thing. You go to any other country in the world and you illegally cross their border, they're not bringing you into refugee camps, feeding you food, giving you apartments, depositing $5,000 and $10,000 in food stamp money inside your accounts, giving you a work permit, telling you can be a police officer. No, you're going to jail. You're going to their prison. And you're going to wait arraignment, and then you may be deported. I don't get it. I don't know why we have people that look like you and I, and people from other demographics as well, trying to convince majority of black people to vote for a political party that never did anything for us except lie. The Democratic Party is the party of the KKK. The Republican Party is the party of Lincoln, that Emancipation Proclamation was signed to free the slaves. I mean, whether he did it, and this is a long-going argument, I have my perspective. Whether he did it to unify America or he did it with the kindness of his heart for black people, we all have our own perspectives, I believe, but at the end of the day, that is the party that did it. And I've said it 1,000 times. Up until Martin Luther King forced and put pressure on Lyndon B. Johnson to sign the Civil Rights Act, black people, 75 to 80%, were voting Republican. Good evening, Jermaine Anderson, Ron MCG. I see you, Volvo. And Nixie. And questions like this, don't even worry about it. I will never answer. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. This is Blacklogic. Usually I hit a button.